Good afternoon to one and all the participants from all across India, learned speakers and dignitaries. I, on behalf of the funno.com, welcome you all in this knowledgeable workshop that will definitely help you all to know, all to have prolific and effective learning experience. It gives me surest jubilance to announce today's agenda, that is online workshop on full stack web development. We have a plethora of learned people with us to enlighten and give meaningful insights. We have planned an online quiz also for all the participants, and the top 10 scorers will receive attractive gifts from the funno.com. For attending the quiz, you need to register or sign up on our website, thefunno.com, thefunnknow.com, and specify your year grade as 50. Let me introduce you to our expert speaker of the day, Mr. Anant Kumar. He graduated from IIT Delhi in 2004 with a degree in computer science. He has experience working with many MNCs and has led several global teams. He is a visionary and co-founder of the www.thefunknown.com and a technology lover by heart. Anant Kumar has 17 plus years working experience. He will help you understand full stack development and also share his wisdom with all.
Hello all. Hi, let me quickly share my screen. So today we will be discussing about full stack development. I'm pretty sure there are quite a few other people who will join after me. They'll also tell us the various aspects about the full stack development. So let me start quickly with the definition itself of what is full stack development. A full stack developer is a web developer or engineer who works with both the front end and back end of a website, or you can say web application. They can tackle projects which involves databases, building user interface, or even the client side. Now, what does that mean? That looks like very a bookish definition, but what is full stack developer is? Right now, with this Digital India campaign, or even with COVID-19 situation, the digital world is continuously growing. It was growing since last 20 years, but now it has exploded. It's just growing even faster than it has ever grown. Now, everybody wants their presence online. So lots of people are writing websites or various kind of web applications. Now, a full stack developer is somebody who can write this whole web application, end-to-end web application, starting from client's code to server side. Now, what does client side and server side means, which I'll explain you, or you can say front-end developer or a back-end developer. So let's talk about what is back-end developer. In today's technology world, especially with the web applications and websites, there are two kind of coding. So the code reside at two places. One on the client side, which is on the browser. So when you type www.thefunno.com, and you will be able to see there is a code written in you can see the raw code or source. You will see some JavaScript, HTML, or CSS kind of code is written. That the code which goes on the client side, on the end user, just like yourself. That is called client side or front-end developed code. While when you click a button, what it does, it sends a request to backend, and the backend does something. Now that could be like just going and getting data from the database and presenting it to a front end, or it could be way more than that. It might be doing full processing, just like in nowadays the stock market. I'm pretty sure lots of you must be following stock market. There are lots of algorithm people has written. They just click on saying, okay, generate this chart for me. It goes, does some analysis, runs the algorithms, and comes back with some kind of data. So that code doesn't reside on the end user, but but on the server side. So it's called backend development. So that's why the code is categorized in two parts: client side and the server side. Now, obviously, there are technology which can work on client side and server side both, but there are certain technologies which are very popular on the server side to do server side work, while the other technologies are very famous for to do the backend side of work. So let's take a quick dive into those front end technology and backend technology, because I want to showcase you more about the web development than just telling you about the front stack development. So the front end technologies are HTML. HTML5 is the new latest version, which is very popular. CSS, I'm pretty sure you guys would know. JavaScript, jQuery, and JavaScript again has various versions. So you can say JS React and Angular, etc., etc. And then the backend side, we have Python, which is one of the most popular language right now in the world. Um, I think the JavaScript, it has beaten JavaScript, and JavaScript is only the second most popular language after Python. Node.js, Java itself, there are lots of like historically people have been writing backend programming in the Java, but as I said, like now the Python has overtaken that. PHP, Ruby, .NET, and many more technologies. With the RESTful APIs, you can pretty much do anything. As you can use even C, C++, or any technologies to do. But these are some of the most popular technologies for the backend world. So what we are going to do is actually, or what I'm going to do is, I'm going to spend some time on Python. I'll tell you how we can use Python to perform or build your own website. Any website like Flipkart, Amazon, Google, like we can build that kind of functionality. At least the website we can build. I'm pretty sure that Google has lots of other services which you guys might not be able to build in a day, but we can. I'll show you how you can build a simple dynamic website in 30 minutes. So let's talk about what is Python. Python is not the snake I'm talking about. The Python is programming language. So it's the object-oriented programming language. It's an interpreted language. So what does interpreted language means? There are a couple of types of language. One is compiled language, where the code when what you are writing gets converted into the byte code and reside as a binary file. And then the binary file contains all the instruction and that gets executed. But those instruction gets built only in the beginning itself when you're compiling. While the interpreted language is like the code directly goes to the client side or whatever wherever you are deploying, and at the runtime they get interpreted by the interpreter. Um, so Python is an interpreted language; it's not a compiled language. Support of dynamic data types. Now, what does nowadays lots of language is doing dynamic data types. So you don't need to specify uh, the data type, but depending upon the operations and the kind of data that object is holding, it automatically detect that what is the type of that variable you have defined. So let me take liberty to actually showcase what do I mean by that. Um, Let me start my command prompt. And it's pretty, once you have Python installed, you can literally just do Python and the Python interpreter will come. Okay. And I can say X. So generally in C, C++, you might have seen they used to call int X semicolon, and this is how you used to define variable. But here you don't need to. You can literally just say X equal to 10 And when I say type, look at this, it knows X is a integer type. Or I can say X, and now it holds a string. If I check the type of X, see, it's saying str. So you don't need to worry about that. This is what means is dynamic typing. Data type independent from platforms. There are certain languages which uses the operating system. So there are like they're OS specific, while Python you can use anywhere, Unix, Linux, Windows, anywhere. Focus on development time because it's a scripting language, so it's, you can literally write a couple of lines of code to actually perform big tasks. Automatic memory management, and it's open source. I will not spend too much time on this. I'm pretty sure you guys know. So what are the properties of? There are certain way it's different from other like programming language like C, C++, or even Java. So in Python, everything is an object. So if you think about other languages, they have object classes, they have objects, they have functions, they have obviously data types are object, but Python is a unique in a sense that even functions are treated as an object. So everything is considered into objects. Modules, I mean the files where you write the code, and one module can have many classes, and every class can have function. So you can write those things. You can do exception handling. You can, as I said, dynamic typing. You have all the object-oriented functionalities so like polymorphism, operator overloading. Uh, the one special thing is indentation. So in most of the languages, you might have seen like they use curly braces to indent, to write down saying this is one set of block, while this is the second set of block. They'll do the indentation like curly braces. While in Python, you only have this indentation. So you just use a tab or for space to define that this is the one block. So let's say if I want to do simple if x equal 10, or let me just define here x equal to 10, and say if x equal 10, then 1 2 3 4 5, or else hello. So look at this now, it has indentation. So this print high is part of
Excuse me,
x.
Anand sir,
Yes.
can you please increase the size of the
Yes,
uh,
sure. Sure,
it's not
sure.
visible actually.
Okay, sure. Is that okay better now?
Inna, it's better. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Nidhi. So this is one indentation. So it's like it's part of if block, while this one is part of else block. When I click this, see, it figure out hi. So it's like it, and if you look at this, there is no curly braces I have used. So let's move on. I'm not going to spend too much time on core Python today. Data types of Pythons are similarly just like any other language. You have integer, long, float, complex, strings, list, dictionaries. Dictionaries is a list you can consider as array. Most of the languages. Dictionaries is the new data type which most of the modern world languages nowadays has. Like the previous languages didn't have C, C++, or they didn't have any dictionary. I remember we used to use one of the DLL provided by Microsoft um, to actually use the dictionary. While here you can literally like do store, or you can say user store equal to dict like this, and it will become dictionary. Or you can say user store equal to, let me define another variable like this, and it will understand it's a dictionary. So you can just see it's an empty dictionary. And if you want to assign something, you can just say User stays name. I think it has started storing this key value pair. So it's a dictionary, it's inbuilt dictionary data type, which you can easily use. There are other data types like binary data, regular expression, etc. But again, as you said, like I want to cover more web development part, so we'll not take a deep dive here. Why is this Python so popular? Because it's a scripting language. You can do anything, whatever you want. Like you can do system management, you can do graphic user, you can do web development, which we'll see today. You can do database programming, and you can do text data processing, graphics, data science operations. And I think that's where it's a key. It's one of the most popular programming language used in data science. So Python is the most popular, and R is the second one. But it's not about just data science and analysis. You can use Python for anything. I'm pretty sure initially I planned some of the code, but like this is a print hello world you can do. But let's not spend too much time there. Now, as I said, we want to spend more time on the web development. So Python has two web framework, just like Java has Spring. Python has two web framework. One of them is Flask, and second one is Django, or you will say Django. So Flask is very lightweight application, um, or you can say micro framework web development server, which allows you to write web services or websites in with a few clicks of your button or on the keyboard. I'll show you how to write a very simple web service API by literally writing 5-6 lines of code. I didn't count actually how many lines, but literally 5 to 7 lines of code, and your web service will be up and running. It's so easy to use Python language. It's restful, and the excellent documentation is available for Flask. It's so easy to use this Python, and that's why I think people nowadays, there are a couple of terms which are very famous in Python on the web development side. One of them is mean, second one is MERN, but we have recently started coining another jargon, MERP, where it's rather than Node.js, people are using now Python. So it's P for Python. Let's take a look actually quickly some Flask work. So as I said, I can launch a quick web service by writing few lines of code, and a few lines of code would be actually literally from Flask, start Flask, run this app Flask, define some name, and that's it, and say app run. So it's like literally 5 lines of code, and I can show you here. And this is my logging. I can literally disable logging, so you won't require even that one line. But let's keep it this way, and I can run this service here. I can show you quickly if it is not already running. It's very simple to run this application, and what you need to do is say Python um, sample code.py, and you will see it's literally 4 lines of code. It's like dblayer app.run and register. These are the functions. I can hardcode as I can comment out as well this code because it's not required. This is something else I wanted to show you, so I've written this here. And when you go to your browser, you can say oops, sorry, give me 1 second. Let me. So here is a one simple route which we can define. I'll come to that in a minute. what does route is, and sorry, look at this. It has, look at this. It has come. My website is already up and running. I can host this on AWS and then give a domain name, something xyz.com, and that's it. It's running. See, say welcome to. That's my homepage. I'm pretty sure you can make a much better homepage, but just for demonstrating. Let's say if I change here, welcome to full stack development webinar on July 2021. Save this. We are running in debug mode. So look at this. The Flask is already figured out that it's running in debug mode. I have made some changes. It has rehosted my website. Now if I go here and press Control R, look at this. 4 July 2021. It's such a simple. It's like literally 4 lines of code. This is my route. So what is a route? Let's start. Let's find what's a route. So route are the entry point in your web service. So when you are building your website, you might want web backend to do certain things. Now, certain things could be like, let's say you're writing a e-commerce website, just like Flipkart. You want people to register. You want people to log in and log out. So I might define a route here, um, just like this. Layer.app.route, and I can define another route called login, and then you define the function, what function it need to call. So your login, and you can just return something. Okay. Now, as I said, it will automatically detect that I have made some changes. I can call this route. Now, this route can be called by your JavaScript page or anything. Since it's a GAT, so I can call literally like this. Okay, let me quickly see what did I define. Slash login cat. Ooh, okay, sorry, there was typo. As you guys can see, I written only ROUT, and that's why I didn't pay attention enough. My code has failed. Look at this. Welcome to exciting world of web development. So you can do all this stuff like so easily in Python Flask. You can, if I wanted to say, if let's say if I want this to say something, take another variable in the input, I can just say, let's take username, and I can say if username in, this is my list, Anant and Arnav, and what are they? 20. Then I'll say you are welcome. Otherwise, you'll say, this is how. So you are taking a get request, a username, you're passing into this function, and you're handling this one. Then you can say, please sign up. And once you've done this, the login will start taking another variable, and I can pass Anant. And look at that, it says welcome to exciting world. But if I pass Anant1, it says please sign up on this page. So look at this. One get route has been written by how much? Literally writing by 2 lines of code. DB layer, app route, whatever the your route name is, defining method, that is a get, and a function here. If you want to do, let's say, um, some post thing, let's say, I've already written, I don't want to waste too much time, so I might have already written something post here now. Okay, so there are various kind of routes. One is get, second is post, and third is put. So let's say if you want to post something, let's go back here. I have already written a form which can be used. So, so I'm going to now show you in next 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, a web page where I will show all the people who has registered for this webinar and how their count, etc. So this is my website. I've already written some simple code. As you can see, I'm doing lots of printing and all that stuff, but this code can be written even smaller. So I've written 2 APIs. One is registering. So all the people who has registered, some information on that. And if I want to register, so look at this, the method is post here. And if I want to register something, this is like simple 5 lines of code, where I'm also using a database using SQL Alchemy. So what is SQL Alchemy and Pandas? There are two most popular Python packages to do database handling or data massaging or data analysis. Pandas is definitely the most popular, but SQL Alchemy is written by MIT. It's open source, which you can use to do the database communication. So I'm going to show you one simple example of using SQL Alchemy, which is in the post method where I want to register a new user. You can see the DB layer. It's pretty simple. I've defined my table. The table name is user registration. It has ID, first name, last name, email ID, and city, and whatever the type of these column you want. That's it. I'm done writing this. I'm ready to use this table. And there are certain methods, get methods or commit method, which I can show you here. So the commit one I'm using here. I'm just using engine, um, creating the object of that table, which you can see literally user and registration, and committing them. Let me show you this working model here. So let's see if I am running my service. Yeah, I am running my front end at 3000. Okay, and backend service I'm running at 111 port on my local host. So let's go here, and if I do localhost 3000, look at this, my front end has showed up. Now I can say I've written two. Okay, it's not very good. I've just written something in 5 minutes, in 10-15 minutes this morning. So if I say register user, or actually let's see registration detail. So right now we have, this was yesterday's data. So we have 392 people has registered for this event. 69 people has not mentioned their city. 27 people has come from Ghaziabad and 14 people has come from Noida. And it's all hitting the backend. I'm like, Sagar will show you the way better way of cool method, or probably he'll have something more interesting to show, a good GUI. This is something very simple GUI I've created just to demonstrate. Um, he'll show you all the dev tools, etc., etc. But let's say if there is a person, say Ayush Jain, you want to let's say register. Sorry, his first name Jain, and email ID is let's say xyz@thefunno.com, and city is let's say um, Ghaziabad. If you guys remember, these all small case. So if you guys remember, was 27 people, I guess. If I hit the submit, I'm not doing some processing here. I can quickly show you probably on the inspect that on the web developer tool. that the request has gone and it's successful, but I've not handled this properly to show response. So see, it has come correctly. Now, if I go to register, get the registration detail, see the number has gone up by 2 because I've registered twice the same. And Ghaziabad there was 27, and now it has gone to 29. I believe it was 27. See, this is a simple, and if you look at the amount of code I have written here, I can probably just wanted to showcase this code is probably like what 33 to 19, like 25 lines of code. Out of this, there are lots of spaces. This is like literally I can finish this in like 6 lines of code, and has it in your one route where you can log in, log out, and save all this information. So it's such a cool way of pandas and flasks is such a cool way to write your own web applications. But as I said, this is a very simple way of um, simple code that you can see, like literally 10 or 15 lines of code where I have demonstrated how you can create a web service. You can register user, you can see their details and all that information in 25 lines of code. So it's very powerful. Flask is very powerful. Python is a very high level scripting language, which allows you to do all this web development within for by writing like 10 or 15 lines of code. You can do quite a few a lot data analysis, everything in Python and Flask. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate today. I will not take too much of your time, I think, because there are a few more speakers who are lined up who will demonstrate the front end part, and also what does it take to get a good job and how to become a very good full stack developer. So that's where I'll stop. Over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you, Anant sir, for your wonderful address, and I am sure that the audience has gained a lot. Our next expert speaker is Mr. Sagar Bhalla. He is currently working as a technology.
Hi, students. So I think Nidhi is facing some network issue at the location, so I will tell more about me. So I'm working as a technical project manager in Udas Technology from last more than 2 years. Before that, I was working in a IBM as a WCS developer. So moreover, I have around 9 years of experience, and I will tell more about the front end and the backend technology. Initially, I started my career as a Java developer, and right now I am working in a blockchain architecture. You might be heard about the Ethereum, Binance, or Bitcoin. So most of the coins and most of the application was developed by our organization. Okay, so let me share my screen and tell more about the current scenario and current technology and current trends in the market. So you might be heard about the front end and the back end, which was elaborated by Mr. Anant. So I will draw something for you to elaborate more about that. So how the front end and back end technology will interact with each others. So let me explain initially when we when we develop the computers and the architecture of computer, and when we develop the what we can say internet and network. So that time we are going to share the information between two computers. Let us suppose we have one computer, and let us suppose we have another computer. So if we want to interact with each other, before that we have one device like floppy disk, pen drive, CD. So that's why we can interact or we can share our data or resources. But right now we have a vast concept of internet and network technology. So by using this, we can host our server. So let me explain with the server side architecture. So suppose this is your server that contains some, just give me a second. Okay, that contains some information about the website. So we can say this is a GoDaddy server, or we can say it's our AWS platform, or we can say it's a AWS platform. where we can host our website. And suppose we have lots of clients here. Okay, now this is a basic architecture of client and server technologies, right? So client will send the request to backend, and that backend will send the response to client. The request may be for the HTML CSS page, and the response will be traversed from the client side will be a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript part. So it means if I'm a client, and let's talk about the scenario when we are living in 2004, right? At that particular time, we all have a same resolution of monitors, right? So that the resolution of the monitor was 1024 multiplied by 768. Is that right? So as a graphic designer, initially means right now we have understood about more of the React Native developer, mean stack, Angular developer. At that time, we have only one position, that is called graphic designer. So let us explain. If I'm a graphic designer and I have to design a website for 1024 multiplied by 768 pixels, so I will put logo at this position, something like that. So I will put logo at this position, and I will put some text at I will put some menus here, and I will put some news here. I will put some content here, and before that I have some foot sites. Okay, something like this. I have to design a website. So if we are going to design a website with this framework or with this scenario, I know each of us are using a same size of monitor, or we can say same resolution of monitor. So that particular time, so I think we can speak in Hindi, na? So it will more easy to understand more about the technology and the related parts. So that time होगा क्या कि जो वेबसाइट का कंटेंट हमने बनाया है, हर एक स्क्रीन पे सेम साइज और सेम जगह ही मुझे हर एक कंटेंट मिलेगा, राइट? एंड आफ्टर दैट जब इवैल्यूएशंस इंक्रीज होना स्टार्ट हुए, and that particular time 2008 2009, एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम हमारे पास डिफरेंट डिफरेंट साइज के मॉनिटर से. सो अब जो वर्कलोड था वो हमारे लिए थोड़ा सा इंक्रीज हो गया, बिकॉज इफ वी ओपन अ वेबसाइट इन अ एचडी रेजोल्यूशन, तो वो वेबसाइट आपके सेंटर में एक्सेस होगी. इफ वी ओपन अ रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ मींस मोबाइल, तो वो वेबसाइट आपकी काफी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लमेटिक होगी, उसे मुझे जूम इन जूम आउट करके व्यू करना पड़ेगा. दिस इज अ मेन इशू दैट वी आर फेसिंग ऑन that particular time. So what we can do, we can develop a website using responsiveness, right? तो आज के टाइम में if we are talking about today's scenario, तो हम एक वेबसाइट टैब पे भी ओपन कर सकते हैं, हम एक वेबसाइट मोबाइल पे भी ओपन कर सकते हैं. तो आज के टाइम में जो हमारा सिनेरियो, द करंट सिनेरियो इज client can access a website through its laptop, through its desktop, through its tablet, through its mobile phone, right? So according to our means platform, or according to our server side technology, the server will give the data according to HTML. तो यहाँ से हमें response क्या मिलेगा? That is a pure HTML feed. Second, that is HTML, and client will also understand the CSS part and the JavaScript part too. So this will response we are getting from that particular website. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास कुछ website content है, and back end we are using maybe PHP. At the back end we are using maybe PHP, Java, or we can say JSP or servlets. And if you're talking about .NET, we are using PSP pages. So initially that time client will request for a HTML part, and the container will and it will request for the container, and container will process for the PHP, and it will convert into a HTML, CSS and JS, and it will traverse to the client side. तो अब हमारे HTML में हमने और JS में हमने कुछ ऐसे लॉजिक्स लगाए कि वहां पे हम अपनी स्क्रीन की विड्थ के अकॉर्डिंगली कंटेंट को एडजस्ट कर सकें. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ वेबसाइट वी कैन से इट्स अ रिस्पॉन्सिव websites, right? तो रिस्पॉन्सिव वेबसाइट्स हम कैसे बना सकते हैं यूजिंग CSS3 रिस्पॉन्सिव मीडिया क्वेरीज के थ्रू। आफ्टर दैट एक इवेल्युएशन फिर आया हमारे पास, जो ट्विटर ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया वन फ्रेमवर्क दैट इज कॉल्ड बूटस्ट्रैप। यू माइट बी हियर अबाउट बूटस्ट्रैप। तो यूजिंग बूटस्ट्रैप और अदर few frameworks are there, but most popular are bootstrap framework. तो we are using bootstrap, and using bootstrap हम किसी भी स्क्रीन्स के अकॉर्डिंगली वेबसाइट्स को डिजाइन कर सकते हैं, राइट। एंड फिर मार्केट में हमने कुछ चेंजेस वगैरह देखे। सपोज लेट लेट अस सपोज जो हम डेस्कटॉप की बात कर रहे हैं, और या फिर हम टैब की बात करें, या फिर हम मोबाइल फोन्स की बात कर रहे हैं, एट दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम वी आर यूजिंग वेब पेजेस। तो वेब पेजेस हम ब्राउजर पे ओपन करेंगे, एंड दैट टाइम हमारे पास कुछ मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन भी आना स्टार्ट होंगे। सो सपोज we have a mobile application or we have a tab application जो मैंने अपने सिस्टम में इंस्टॉल की हुई है या फिर मैंने अपने मोबाइल में इंस्टॉल की हुई है। okay, mobile app, so we have mobile app at their time। तो अब यहाँ पे हमें जो प्रोसेसिंग करनी है, सपोज, तो मैं इसे थोड़ा सा और सिंपल कर देता हूँ। व्हाट आई विल डू, जस्ट गिव मी अ सेकंड, मैं यहाँ से चीजें रिमूव कर देता हूँ। एंड व्हाट वी कैन डू, दिस इज सपोज आवर पीएचपी वेबसाइट, दिस इज आवर पीएचपी वेबसाइट। और पीएचपी वेबसाइट जब हम एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे फ्रॉम द डेस्कटॉप, it will send for the request and we will receive a HTML response, and वो मुझे यहाँ पे तो डिस्प्ले हो जाएगा। अगर हम मोबाइल या टैब पे भी ओपन करें तो वो मेरे ब्राउजर पे तो डिस्प्ले हो जाएगा। बट अगर मुझे कोई एप्लीकेशन क्रिएट करनी है, मोबाइल ऐप क्रिएट करनी है, व्हाट वी कैन डू, how can we create a application? If we are talking about Android, तो वहां पे हमें कोड जावा पे लिखना पड़ेगा। If we are talking about iOS, तो वहां हम कोड ऑब्जेक्टिव सी के थ्रू लिखेंगे, राइट। तो अभी अगर हम जावा की रिप्लेसमेंट की बात करें तो गूगल ने एक नई लैंग्वेज इंट्रोड्यूस की है दैट इज कॉल्ड कॉटलिन। और अगर हम एप्पल डेवलपमेंट की बात करें तो वहां पे हमें एक न्यू लैंग्वेज मिली है दैट इज कॉल्ड स्विफ्ट लैंग्वेज। ओके, तो यूजिंग स्विफ्ट और कॉटलिन वी कैन क्रिएट अ मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन। तो सपोज अगर मुझे डेटा कम्युनिकेट करना है, तो सारा डेटा हमारा जो होगा वो होगा कहाँ, ऑब्वियसली सर्वर साइड पे। तो एट अ सर्वर साइड वी हैव अ डेटाबेस। तो उस डेटाबेस को एक्सेस करने के लिए थोड़ा सा गलत डिजाइन बना है, ओके वी कैन इग्नोर इट। तो if we want to access this DB, तो उस DB को एक्सेस करने के लिए PHP कैपेबल है इंटरनल के लिए। लेकिन अगर मुझे यहाँ पे कम्युनिकेट करना है अपनी मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन से, could you please remove Vivo 1069 1606? Okay, so if we want to communicate with the database architecture, that time we have a PHP, JSP or ASP pages, and right now we have Python, Flask and Django frameworks. So at that particular time, what we can do, हम यहाँ पे PHP के थ्रू डेटा कम्युनिकेट करके उसे हम HTML में चेंज कर देते हैं, और वो HTML हमारा ब्राउजर तो अंडरस्टैंड कर लेगा। बट व्हाट हैपन विद द मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन, मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन के लिए मुझे डायरेक्ट डेटाबेस एक्सेस करवाना पड़ेगा जिसमें वो टेबल्स के डेटा को रीड कर सके। तो दिस इज नॉट अ गुड अप्रोच दैट टाइम। तो व्हाट वी कैन डू, हमें वहां पे एक जनरलाइज वे चाहिए था जो मेरा ब्राउजर भी अंडरस्टैंड कर सके, जो मेरा मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन भी अंडरस्टैंड कर सके। मोबाइल, if we are talking about the Android side and if we are talking about the iOS side, तो व्हाट वी कैन डू, हमने अपनी PHP लैंग्वेज को कहा कि प्लीज चेंज योर आर्किटेक्चर, डोंट नीड टू चेंज योर होल कोड टू HTML। आप मुझे एक ऐसा कोड दे दो जो मैं डिफरेंट डिफरेंट आर्किटेक्चर पे उसे एग्जीक्यूट कर सकूं। तो वहां पे हमने इंट्रोड्यूस किया दैट इज कॉल्ड XML लैंग्वेज। तो एक्सटेंसिबल मार्कअप लैंग्वेज के बारे में आपने मे भी हो सकता है चीजों को सुना हो, एंड ये भी आपने डेफिनेशन जरूर पढ़ी होगी, बुक की डेफिनेशन। HTML is similar as a HTML with a predefined or user defined tag। HTML में हमारे पास predefined tags होते हैं और XML में हमारे पास user defined tags होते हैं। Like if we have some data in a database, let us suppose a student table, and that a student table has student ID. Let us elaborate that. Student ID, name of student and the course of student, and student ID is 10 suppose, and student name is Ayush, and student course is MCA. This is our database table. So we have to represent in a XML form. So how can we represent in a XML form? Suppose first we will define a students tag, and after that we will close the students tag. Just give me a second. I will students tag close, in which we will define one student, and this is a student tag closing, and that student underscore ID, and that ID is 10. So we can close the student. I will stretch out this, and this is a basic representation of XML that particular time. So it will take lots of data to execute from backend to front end. Just give me a second. Just I use and close and blah blah blah. There are lots of information. If we have more than one student, then we can open the student tag again and we can close the student tag again. तो जितने भी हमारे स्टूडेंट्स होंगे उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग हम क्या करेंगे, उतने स्टूडेंट टैग्स बना लेंगे. तो व्हाट वी कैन डू यूजिंग PHP, वी कैन कनेक्ट विद आवर डेटाबेस, एंड विद द डेटाबेस वी विल गेट द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ टेबल्स. तो उस टेबल और स्टूडेंट की इंफॉर्मेशन को हमने एज अ रिप्रेजेंट कैसे कर दिया XML में, राइट. इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट XML पार्ट, तो अब XML में जो मेरा डेटा आया है एंड वो सारा डेटा मुझे कहाँ प्रोसेस करना है, क्लाइंट साइड पे. तो क्लाइंट साइड पे हमें जो प्रोसेस करना है वो डेस्कटॉप के लिए भी प्रोसेस करना हो सकता है, मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन के लिए भी, या फिर हम टैब एप्लीकेशन के लिए भी प्रोसेस कर सकते हैं. और अगर हम मोबाइल, टैब या फिर लैपटॉप या डेस्कटॉप की बात करें, वेब एप्लीकेशन की बात करें, तो हर जगह मुझे एक प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज चाहिए होगी जो इस पूरे आर्किटेक्चर को अंडरस्टैंड कर सके. वन थिंग. सेकेंड थिंग और ड्रॉबैक ऑफ XML इज कि अगर मैं यहाँ पे n नंबर ऑफ डेटा लिख रहा हूं, तो इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट UTF फॉर्मेट, तो 16 बिट्स के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग मेरा एक कैरेक्टर कितनी मेमोरी ऑक्युपाई करेगा, 2 बाइट्स. तो अननेसेसरी मैं यहाँ पे एक हेल्दी डेटा सर्वर से क्लाइंट पे शेयर कर रहा हूं, तो इट विल रिड्यूस आर मींस इनिशिएट टाइम. तो वेबसाइट की परफॉर्मेंस कहीं ना कहीं रिड्यूस हो जाएगी. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी इंट्रोड्यूस जेसन्स. तो maybe you have heard about JSONs. So if you have some doubt, you can means explain in a chat section. तो मैं उसमें आप लोगों को explain कर दूंगा. And if we are talking about XML is an old approach. So right now we are using, just give me a second. Right now we are using JSONs, JavaScript object notations. What is JSON? How it will reduce the memory of XML means data. So what we can do, just open a curly braces and this, and again we can define some array. It's nothing, just array. So we can define associate array. So let us suppose student ID goes to column 10 comma, and name contain, that is I use. This is a approach, something like this we are going to follow at that particular time. So at particular scenario, if we are talking about a backend development, तो what we can do, हम हमेशा जो communicate करते हैं between client and backend, जितना भी कम्युनिकेशन अचीव होगा वो सारा आज के टाइम में जेसन फॉर्म पे ही अचीव होगा, राइट. तो अब वहां पे ट्रेडिशंस हमारा बहुत पुराना हो गया. राइट नाउ हमें रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है, जेसन्स की प्रोसेसिंग. बिकॉज अगर मैंने ये जेसन्स क्रिएट कर दिए एट द बैक एंड, और उसी जेसन्स को मैं इंप्लीमेंट कर सकता हूँ अपनी वेब एप्लीकेशन में, उसी जेसन्स को इंप्लीमेंट कर सकता हूँ अपनी मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन फ्रॉम एंड्रॉइड एंड iOS साइड. तो एक ही बैकएंड से कम्युनिकेट हो गया आपका कंप्लीट वेबसाइट और मोबाइल एप्लीकेशंस. तो इस मोबाइल एप्लीकेशंस में अब मेरा काम क्या रह गया, व्हाट आवर इनिशियली हमारे पास यहाँ पे क्या क्या चीजें थी. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यूआई क्रिएशन. मोबाइल साइट पे अगर हम बात करें, यूआई क्रिएशन प्लस बिजनेस लॉजिक आपको लगाने पड़ते थे, बिजनेस लॉजिक, एंड नेक्स्ट इज रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ डेटा, representation of data. But right now अभी सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमें किस चीज की रिक्वायरमेंट है? Right now we only require for UI development, and if we are talking about mobile application, और वहां पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ मुझे UI creation की requirement है, and जितना भी मेरा processing होगा वो सारा का सारा processing मेरा कहाँ पे होगा? backend में, और उसी backend का मुझे JSONs मिलेगा, और JSONs को मुझे सिर्फ और सिर्फ represent कराना है mobile application में. तो no need to communicate with your database directly with mobile application. तो UI क्रिएशन की अगर हम बात करें तो UI क्रिएशन आज के टाइम में मैं HTML पे बहुत इजीली क्रिएट कर सकता हूं. तो इट मींस आज मुझे मोबाइल डेवलपर भी बनना है, तो मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन डेवलपमेंट के लिए भी मुझे HTML CSS बूटस्ट्रैप आनी चाहिए. तो राइट नाउ इन्हीं एप्लीकेशंस को हम क्या कहते हैं? दैट इज कॉल्ड हाइब्रिड मोबाइल एप्लीकेशंस. तो आज के टाइम में अगर हम बात करें तो मेरी अगर जॉब एज अ UI UX डेवलपर लग रही है, तो मेरा सिर्फ और सिर्फ मोटिव ये नहीं है कि मैं यहाँ पे सिर्फ वेबसाइट ही डेवलप कर रहा हूँ. मे भी हो सकता है इन फ्यूचर मेरी ग्रोथ एज अ मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन डेवलपर भी मार्केट में कैप्चर हो सके. एंड मोर थिंग, अब इन्हीं चीजों को हम बात करते हैं कि first, as a backend, as Anant ji already told you about the PHP, Java, Python, and these technology. As a front end, we have only JavaScript and its frameworks. And if we are talking about framework, jQuery है मेरे पास, Ajax है, Angular है, AngularJS है, Angular 10 है, Angular के काफी वर्जन्स हैं, React.js है. तो इन सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज की अगर हम बात करें तो मार्केट में जो सबसे बेसिक्स है दैट इज अ जावास्क्रिप्ट. जावास्क्रिप्ट इज नथिंग जस्ट अ ऑब्जेक्ट बेस्ड प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड एंड ऑब्जेक्ट बेस्ड. जावा इज अ ऑब्जेक्ट बेस्ड प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. वी वर्क ऑन डॉक्यूमेंट ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल. तो HTML और जावास्क्रिप्ट को हम किस तरीके से रिलेट करते हैं? मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट में बी स्टडीड अबाउट जावा प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज, राइट? तो मैं उसी के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग जावास्क्रिप्ट को और उसके ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल को एक्सप्लेन करता हूं HTML के आर्किटेक्चर में. Suppose in a HTML we will define one tag div, or we can say most easiest way, image img src is equal to something like this, where we can define a path. So path might be images slash img1.jpg, right? And we can define also a height attribute here. Height is equal to 100 pixels, something like this. We are going to define a tag. So इसी तरीके से हम tags वगैरह define करते हैं in HTML. So how document object model will work between HTML and JavaScript part? So JavaScript was written by Java itself. Okay. So in Java, we might be here about the OOPS concept. So OOPS is nothing just a object and classes. So suppose this is our IMG tag. This is our IMG tag. So in Java word, what we can define? Class name. And class name will contain some properties and methods, right? So methods. Okay, so a class contains some properties and some methods. So now what we can do, we can relate is class with IMG tag. How? Just see. We can define one class IMG image, or we can say image, and image have some attributes like integer, not integer, string, src. Okay, and we also have one attribute that is integer height. Okay, so now I think अब आपको relate करना आ गया होगा. Got it? So IMG src is nothing, just an attribute of image class. And if we are talking about image class, तो उस image का भी तो कोई ना कोई parent हो सकता है. तो we can define extends, और वो जिस class से हमारा extend होके हमारे पास कुछ objects या फिर कुछ methods मेरे पास आए हैं. तो इमेज से भी हम कुछ मेथड्स कॉल कर सकते हैं जो इनहेरिट कहां से हो रहे हैं, डॉक्यूमेंट ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल से, और वही मेथड मैं किसी और एट्रीब्यूट के साथ भी कॉल कर सकता हूं. नाउ how can we define a object in Java? That is something like that. Class name object is equal to new class name, right? Something like this. We have to create an object of any class in Java. Suppose in JavaScript we no need to define data types. Okay, it's a loosely typed language. So what we can define, जैसे हम integer a define करते हैं C, C++ और Java programming language, तो Java में आपको कुछ नहीं करना, var a define कर सकते हो. It's a variant data type, तो a is equal to 10, or either we can store a is equal to Sagar string. So how can we define object in this JavaScript, where obj is equal to document dot get element by id, and we can define the id and its type. So now we can relate this thing. यहाँ पे हम डायरेक्टली क्लास का ऑब्जेक्ट बना रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे हमारे पास एक डॉक्यूमेंट क्लास है जिसके अंदर एक गेट एलिमेंट बाय आईडी मेथड है, और वो गेट एलिमेंट बाय आईडी मुझे रिटर्न क्या करके देगा, एक ऑब्जेक्ट. सपोज अगर मैं यही चीज अलर्ट पे प्रिंट कर रहा हूं ओबीजे, तो वो मुझे यहाँ पे रिटर्न क्या करके देगा, दिस इज अ ऑब्जेक्ट टाइप. आई विल शो सेकंड, I will clear the screen. HTML. Body close. Okay, now we are going to define script. Close. Suppose var obj, but I say document dot get element by id. We can define id, that is my dog. We can define an h1 here, that is this is a dummy website. So now we are going to alert this obj. Save the text with the name index.html. So this is our dummy text, and we can define id something like this. Id is equal to my dog. Okay, so we have to run this. I think we should open with Chrome. Yes, this page says object HTML heading element. Got it? So in JavaScript, everything is treated like a object. तो यहाँ पे जो मेरा ये obj है, it's nothing, just a document dot get element by id, और उस एलिमेंट के कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग उसने मुझे क्या दे दी, एक क्लास का ऑब्जेक्ट. अब ये जिस भी क्लास से बिलोंग कर होगा, सपोज we have a class name in Java and have some properties and have some behavior, right? So अगर मेरे पास class name obj is equal to new class name and we have obj dot, we can call property of this particular class and we can call behavior of that particular class, right? So अगर ये object है तो ये किसी ना किसी क्लास से बिलोंग करेगा, और अगर ये किसी क्लास से बिलोंग करेगा तो हम उस क्लास की प्रॉपर्टीज और हम उस क्लास का बिहेवियर कॉल कर पाएंगे। तो अभी जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था कि वापस से हम अनडू कर दे रहे हैं, यहाँ पे मैंने क्या कहा था कि अगर ये एक ऑब्जेक्ट है और ये उस पर्टिकुलर क्लास की प्रॉपर्टीज है, तो यहाँ पे एक इमेज भी क्या है, क्लास, एक h1 भी क्या है, एक क्लास, एक पी पैराग्राफ भी क्या है मेरे पास, एक क्लास। तो हर एक चीज का रिप्रेजेंटेशन क्या है मेरे पास, एक क्लास। तो अगर वो क्लास है तो उस क्लास की कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी और उस क्लास के कुछ बिहेवियर्स होंगे। तो प्रॉपर्टीज में हमारे पास क्या था, एसआरसी और हाइट, और बिहेवियर की बात करें तो इनर एचटीएमएल और फ्यू मोर थिंग्स वी हैव। सो वी कैन print something like this. So if we want to print some inner data, so inner HTML is a attribute here and HTML is a method in jQuery. So अभी हम इसी के थ्रू कवर कर रहे हैं। तो अगर मैं यहाँ पे मेथड के थ्रू डॉट लगा के किसी प्रॉपर्टी को एक्सेस कर रहा हूँ तो वो क्या दे रहा है मुझे, दिस इज अ डमी website. So I think you are aware about the DOM architecture. DOM is nothing just a document object model. तो जितनी भी चीजें आप एक HTML कंटेंट में लिखोगे, it is just treated like a object. तो अगर ऑब्जेक्ट है तो उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग क्लास होगी, अगर क्लास है तो उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग मुझे कुछ ना कुछ मेथड्स और प्रॉपर्टीज मिलेंगे। तो अगर जब हम यहाँ पे डॉक्यूमेंट डॉट गेट एलिमेंट बाय आईडी से अगर मुझे ऑब्जेक्ट मिल रहा है तो इनर एचटीएमएल से मुझे उसका कंटेंट मिल रहा है, तो मैं चाहूँ तो उसका डायनामिकली उसका कंटेंट भी चेंज कर सकता हूँ। सो इनिशियली एट वेबसाइट what we have, this is our dummy website, but after this execution of this line, तो मैं यहाँ पे कुछ चेंज कर देते हैं, change text, so something like this. Now we have to refresh this page again. See, as a code level मेरे पास h1 में क्या है, a different text, लेकिन मैंने उसे डायनेमिकली क्या चेंज कर दिया, कुछ अलग वे में। अब वापस से हम यहाँ पे बात करते हैं कि इन सारी चीजों से मुझे बेनिफिट क्या होने वाला है, राइट। सो लेट मी एक्सप्लेन। So this is our server and this is our client, right? Let's make a server and just make a client. So now अगर मुझे कम्युनिकेट करना है और मेरे सर्वर पे अब क्या बनी है, कुछ APIs, तो उस APIs में मेरे पास कुछ API है। फर्स्ट API दैट इज अ लॉगिन API, और लॉगिन API कुछ डेटा एक्सेप्ट करेगी क्लाइंट साइड से, राइट। तो क्लाइंट से कुछ डेटा एक्सेप्ट किया और उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग मुझे क्या मिलेगा, कुछ रिस्पॉन्स। नाउ अब हमारे पास क्या है, रिस्पॉन्स और रिक्वेस्ट जितनी भी आएंगी वो सारी की सारी कैसी होनी चाहिए, जेसन फॉर्मेट में। तो अब हम यहाँ नॉर्मल HTML की बात नहीं करेंगे, राइट। हम यहाँ पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ बात क्या करेंगे, एक पर्टिकुलर जेसन रिस्पॉन्स की। तो जितनी APIs होंगी वो सारी की सारी आपको क्या वापस रिटर्न करके देंगी, कुछ जेसन रिस्पॉन्स, और वो जेसन रिस्पॉन्स इज नथिंग जस्ट अ अरे टाइप। और यहाँ पे हमारे पास क्लाइंट साइड पे वी हैव जावास्क्रिप्ट, और ये जावास्क्रिप्ट जेसन्स के रिस्पॉन्स को अंडरस्टैंड करके इस HTML के कंटेंट में डेटा फिल आउट कर देगा। गॉट इट। तो सपोज एज अ HTML इनिशियली वी हैव सम डिजाइन जहां पे हम यूजर से क्या लेंगे, ईमेल आईडी एंड पासवर्ड, right? After email ID and password, we have one button that is called login button. Okay, so where we can put, that is a sagar.bhalla@gmail.com, and we can put password here like sagar@123. The when we are going to click on login, तो ये पूरे डेटा का हमने क्या बनाया, जेसन्स, और जेसन बना के हमने किसको दे दिया, लॉगिन API को। तो API को डेटा मिला एज अ जेसन फॉर्मेट में, तो उसे डेटा किस फॉर्मेट में मिला होगा, समथिंग लाइक दिस, email colon, that is a email called sagar.bhalla@gmail.com, and password colon, that is a sagar@123. ना अब इसमें से एक्सट्रैक्ट करेंगे हम डेटा, और डेटा एक्सट्रैक्ट करने के बाद व्हाट वी कैन डू, हम अपने डेटाबेस से चीजों को वैलिडेट करवाएंगे कि ये यूजर नेम और पासवर्ड यहाँ पे वैलिडेट है या फिर नहीं है। तो अगर ये यूजर नेम और पासवर्ड वैलिडेट होगा तो हम उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग ट्रू या फॉल्स रिटर्न कर देंगे, राइट। तो मैंने डेटाबेस से कम्युनिकेट किया, मींस एज अ बैक एंड वी रिक्वायर वन मोर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज, एज अ फ्रंट एंड we require one programming language like JavaScript. As a backend, we require one more programming language like PHP, JSP, or ASP, .NET, and there are more Python and other programming language. जो communicate क्या करेगी आपके database से, and it will validate this email ID and password will be there or not. If the password and email ID will be there, then it will return true. और जैसे ही ट्रू आ जाएगा तो यहाँ पे एज अ जावास्क्रिप्ट में अंडरस्टैंड करूंगा कि यस मुझे ट्रू रिसीव हो गया है, तो नाउ वी हैव टू ओपन अ न्यू पेज। तो उस न्यू पेज पे भी जितना भी कंटेंट होगा, सपोज इट्स अ फेसबुक एप्लीकेशन, तो मेरे पास बैनर इमेज होगी एंड मेरी प्रोफाइल डीपी होगी, मेरे फ्रेंड्स की लिस्ट होगी, मेरी चैट फीड्स हो गई, मेरे मैसेजेस हो गए, समथिंग लाइक दिस, वी आर्किटेक्चर, और यहाँ कुछ एड्स हो गए। तो ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन मुझे क्या करना है, वापस से बैकएंड को कॉल करा के मुझे डेटा पुल कराना है। नाउ अगेन मुझे इस सर्वर पे अगेन रिक्वेस्ट भेजनी पड़ेगी। तो नाउ वी हैव वन मोर एपीआई, ठीक है। सो इसका कुछ नेम दे देते हैं, गेट डिटेल्स ऑफ लॉगिन आफ्टर लॉगिन, get details after login, yeah, main page content, something like this. Okay, so now अगर मैं विदाउट लॉगिन इस पेज की रिक्वेस्ट को डायरेक्टली एक्सेस करूं तो मुझे भी डेटा मिल जाएगा या फिर मुझे कुछ एरर मैसेजेस मिलेंगे। तो एक प्रॉब्लम रहता है हमारे पास कि कभी भी हम जब लॉगिन कराते हैं तो हम यहाँ से ट्रू या फॉल्स ना पास करें, हम यहाँ से एक ऑथ टोकन पास करें। तो नाउ हमारे पास क्या है, एक ऑथ टोकन। तो जैसे ही कोई यूजर लॉगिन होगा तो सर्वर का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज क्या होगी, अगर डेटाबेस वैलिडेट हो जाता है तो मुझे यहाँ से रिटर्न क्या करना है, एक ऑथ टोकन। अगर वैलिडेट हो गया तो मैं यहाँ से एक हेक्साडेसिमल नंबर रिटर्न करा दूंगा, 2FF3E445 समथिंग ABC। तो ये एक ऑथ टोकन मैंने रिटर्न करा दिया। अगर मेरा डेटा वैलिडेट नहीं होता तो हम यहाँ पे रिटर्न क्या करा देंगे, नल। तो अब एज अ क्लाइंट साइड फ्रॉम JS व्हाट वी कैन डू, अगर मेरे ऑथ टोकन में नल आया तो इट मींस यूजर आईडी एंड पासवर्ड इज इनवैलिड। अगर मेरा ऑथ टोकन नल नहीं आया तो व्हाट वी कैन से कि ये इंफॉर्मेशन मेरे डेटाबेस में कंटेन कर रही थी और वहां से हमने कंप्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन गेट कर ली। और उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग उस ऑथ टोकन को हम जावास्क्रिप्ट के पेज से दूसरे पेज पे कम्युनिकेट कर देंगे। और जब यहां से हम रिक्वेस्ट भेजेंगे, मींस अब जितनी भी एपीआईज हो जाएंगी वो सारी एपीआई आपका एक्सेप्ट क्या करेंगी, कुछ रिक्वेस्ट और साथ में एक्सेप्ट करेंगी ऑथ टोकन, राइट। तो ऑथ टोकन से हम वैलिडेट कर पाएंगे कि ये यूजर वैलिडेट हुआ था, यानी लॉगिन से आया था या फिर नहीं आया। और सर्वर साइड पे हम टेबल में स्टोर करा देंगे उसका एक ऑथ टोकन कि ये यूजर वैलिडेट कब तक करेगा। लेट अस सपोज सेशन टाइम हमने अगर डिफाइन किया है 1 आवर, तो अगर हम सेशन टाइम को 8 आवर्स करते हैं तो 8 आवर तक उसका ऑथ टोकन वैलिडेट रहेगा। अगर आप लोगों ने गूगल्स की एपीआई के साथ भी अगर वर्किंग की हो तो मे बी यू रिमेंबर अबाउट दिस टोकन टेक्नोलॉजी। तो हमें एपीआई के कॉन्सेप्ट में इन चीजों को बहुत ध्यान से रखना पड़ता है। तो इतना डेटा मुझे कम्युनिकेट करना है। अब अगर मैं यहाँ पे गेट डिटेल्स आफ्टर लॉगिन की बात करूं तो ये मुझे एक कंप्लीट पेज के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ब्लॉक्स की इंफॉर्मेशन गेट करके देगा। तो एक एपीआई मैंने बनाई जो पूरे पेज की इंफॉर्मेशन दे रही है, और पूरे पेज में मेरी एक इमेज है, बैकग्राउंड इमेज जो मैंने डीएसएलआर से क्लिक की थी। ऑब्वियस है आप अपनी प्रोफाइल फेसबुक पे डीएसएलआर से ही डीपीज वगैरह लगाते हो। तो जब आप डीपीज वगैरह लगाओगे इट्स अ हैवी वेट, इमेजेस आपकी क्या है, हैवी वेट है। और आपका यहाँ पे पोस्ट होगी, इमेजेस होगी, ये सारी हैवी वेट है। तो आपकी वेबसाइट की परफॉर्मेंस डिले ना हो, उसके लिए हम क्या करते हैं, डिफरेंट एपीआईज को कॉल कराते हैं। और यहाँ पे एज अ क्लाइंट साइड आपको जावास्क्रिप्ट में बहुत सारा कोड लिखना पड़ता है। सो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव सम लाइब्रेरी कॉल रिएक्ट जेएस, एंगुलर जेएस एंड ऑल।
Sagar sir,
Yes.
I would request you to please conclude as we are running short of time.
Yes. I'm just
Thank you.
going to means close this my elaboration.
Thank you.
So this is a more things about React and Angular. आप ये सारी चीजें बैक एंड पे, फ्रंट एंड पे नॉर्मल जावास्क्रिप्ट के थ्रू भी कर सकते हो, बट वहां पे कोड लेवल आपका बहुत ज्यादा होगा। टू रिड्यूस द कोड लेवल वी कैन यूज React JS and Angular JS. So I will finish my this thing. If you have some doubt or query, you can ask in a chat window. So Nidhi.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words of wisdom. And our next knowledgeable speaker is Mr. Jayant. I'm sorry, our next knowledgeable speaker is Mr. Sumanta. Sumanta, sir?
Hi.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sumanta is a graduate from IIT-B in 2004, Metallurgy and Material Science. Sumanta has profound experience of working in a startup and Tier 1 investment bank. He is currently working as a Senior Vice President in a Tier 1 investment bank. Sumanta will share his technical experience and his journey from college graduate to corporate world. It is an honor to have you, sir.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, guys. Actually, okay. I will start with. I will not take much time though. I will just have a brief walkthrough about what I did and. Okay. To start with, actually, I passed out in 2004. I passed. I was a graduate. I'm a graduate of metallurgy and material science. And if you look into the subject of metallurgy and material science, usually you'd see that okay, people generally don't do much programming in that stream. But yes, we did programming, but those programming was mostly related to the technical aspect of it. We don't care about the professional code writing. It's more of a research oriented thing. But when the time came and everybody has to start looking for jobs, then the fact that we from our talking with the seniors, we understand is that every recruiter has something notion in mind. So what they're looking means, initially I thought I would say that that is not something that is justified as that should be, but then I myself did it. What is that is basically what happened is whenever a recruiter comes to recruit people, what's in his mind is basically how quickly he can take that guy or a girl and start actually put him in a location where he can contribute to the project and contribute some meaningful code. Okay. So having said that, if you look into it, what does a HR looks? What the recruiting manager looks? He basically search for keywords in your resume. So that is the way how you stand out. Okay. So having said that, a recruiting manager, depending if you are a junior, you are a mid-level or a senior, expects different things from you. For a junior, what they looks is basically, if you look into it, the logic is born with the person. He can just sharpen it. But to make him stand out, what they look is basically keywords in his resume. Like he knows some particular languages, particular modules in that languages, and those kind of things. And as you move up the rank, up the chain, for a senior guy, it is assumed that he is able to adapt to any language and in that, then it becomes more, the domain becomes more important. Okay, so it is very important for a manager who is actually have to deliver the project to hire someone who can write professional code, so that for him also, because the delivery is the code. Okay, so when I say that professional code, it actually means the code should be reliable, readable, maintainable, simplicity, file structure, class structure, designing it kind of like API structure, establishing a contract, easy for bug fix, easy for BAU, easy for troubleshoot. So these are the things that we look for. So having something in your resume which gives you, which says that in the experience section, although you have not worked in a company in a professional capacity, but your experience of working in any project which gives you a experience of which gives you a professional experience, which says that okay, you do follow and understand this structure, actually makes you stand out. That is what a manager is looking for. That is what anyone is looking for. To how easily I can take a guy and start making use of him. I can get him production ready in next 2 to 3 months after recruitment. I don't want to spend time unless it's a bulk recruiting for a fresher, or in some cases a piecewise recruiting. This is what industry looks for. So it is very important to get some kind of professional experience in some capacity. I don't mean working in a job. Maybe you do a project that is being used in a professional capacity is very important. So that's, I think I would conclude it here, and I think that's it from my side.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words of wisdom. And our next speaker is Mr. Jayant. He has 16 plus years of experience in analysis, design, development, implementation, and management of software applications in product environment, out of which 8 years in design, architecture, and coding, and rest in engineering management. His design development and management skills encompass the entire software development life cycle, SDLC. His most recent work involves consulting in pre-sales and post-sales phase of smart testing model-based testing, MBT, product for 3 years. It feels illustrious to have you, sir, over here.
Me? Nidhi?
Over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you unmute me? Yeah. I think it's there.
Sure, sir.
Right. So thank you, Nidhi. Thank you for inviting me. And hi, everyone. My name is Jayant. And as Sumanta sir just explained, he gave a lot of valuable advice and lot of valuable experience from industry. So it's great to be here today. So I have done my formal education in aerospace engineering, and then I worked in CAD/CAM software development for almost 6 years. And 1 minute. So just so that you can read, right? So just like all of you, I started off as a fresher at the age of 21, and now I have almost 18 years of experience. And when I started off as a fresher, I had already an experience with programming in college. And in 4 years at college, I became comfortable in programming. You saw front end and back end, but in programming, I was comfortable by the time I joined job. And then I progressed from a software engineer to a project lead to eventually engineering manager, right? And as Sumanta sir just told before me, You need to acquire these skills as you progress in your career. And acquiring these skills is a time-taking process. So for example, all the things that you saw just now about front end and back end and databases and the APIs, all of these things take time. And these are actually painstaking, carefully learned things. And for example, all the things that you saw about backend and front end, it might minimum you can say that it will take 2 months. It will take 2 months of time for you to get comfortable in this. That means you will not only learn it, you will not only learn how to use it, you will feel fairly confident using these technologies, right? So those are the things which I wanted to tell, that learning takes time. So be prepared to invest the time, and learning also means that whatever you have learned, you remember it so that at the correct time when you are required to use that knowledge, you can use that. You are in fact also required to use that knowledge during the interview time. Like most importantly, during the interview, you should demonstrate that you have the required kind of knowledge. And after you have cleared any interview, got into a job, then during the job, you should show it to your project leader or to your engineering manager or to your boss, that what you said in your interview and what you told on your resume, you can use that, right? So these are the things I can tell from my experience as an engineering manager. So I have recruited, at the least I have recruited around 30 people, 30 to 40 people in my team and for other teams, and these are very important aspects. So that's what I would like to say. And to sign off, I would say that learning takes time. 1 minute. Yeah. So from my 18 years in the industry, I can tell you that a real concrete skill, it doesn't mean that you just know about certain thing. It means that you not only know and understand a concept, you are able to utilize it to create something. For example, you are able to utilize your knowledge to create a web page, to create a form, or to create a JSON format, or to create an API, or to create a database, or to write real concrete skills that is required in the industry. And I am fairly confident that in your course you would have learned these things. And if you can demonstrate that you can utilize and demonstrate, use these things on the job, then a job is not very far. A job is the easiest thing to get in this market, because right now Indian market is booming. Sir told, it's booming right now. It's exploding because of COVID, and there is never a shortage of any jobs. That's all, Nidhi.
Thank you very much, sir. Now all are requested
Hello.
to post in the... Yes, sir.
Nidhi,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
All are requested to post in the chat box the question and answer session. Our experts will answer them. And all are requested to share the feedback in the link shared in the chat.
Is there any other question, Nidhi?
There are no more questions, sir. If anybody is interested to ask any question, you may please ask in the chat box. All the participants present.
Okay. I think let's give another minute, and if not, we will just probably conclude. But
Yes,
let
sir.
let me just iterate one more thing here, Nidhi. That
Yes, sir.
this Zoom session, the webinar which we have conducted today, should be available on our YouTube channel. So if somebody search on the
Yes, sir.
Funno,
Yeah, yeah. I have got that information, sir. So on behalf of the funno.com, I would like to thank all of you for your active participation. This is the first free workshop in a session of workshops which we are organizing. In the coming few days, we will be announcing more workshops, events, competitions, etc. So please stay tuned to our website and social media presence on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. In addition to this, we are also bunching a full-fledged course on full stack web lives development, where you will get a chance to match your skills with IIT alumni and corporate experts. It is a 4-month course with weekend classes, and the course fees is rupees 10,000 for the entire course. For more details, you are supposed to contact our India office on 9319649440, or you can write to us at support@funno.com. The contact details would be mentioned in the chat box. All the recording of today's workshop will be posted on our YouTube channel. You can view the recording over there. I would thank everybody to participate who have participated in this workshop. Thank you very much. Please give your feedback. All are requested to give your feedback online for the quiz.
yeah. Nidhi, would you like to share your screen and just showcase probably how they will see this quiz? So once they log in on the Funno, on the under assessment, they will see the quiz.
I'll just try, sir. Anant, sir, what are you saying? Could you please repeat?
Okay, let me quickly share my screen, and I will be able to showcase this. 1 minute.
Okay.
So guys, as we have mentioned, there is a quiz, and once you log into thefunno.com, so let's see if I'm able to log in quickly. The user. We haven't assigned that quiz to you guys yet, but once you sign up, I will assign this in some time. Okay, so once you logged in, you go to dashboard. Under dashboard, you'll see go to assessment, and if you type here the Funno, you will be able to see there will be a button called Start Test, and it's a 10-minute quick test quiz on the technology which we have covered today. So once you click this, you will be able to see the answers as well as the statistics, etc. That where do you stand, and the top 10 winners will be just like this. The top 10 winners will be given attractive prices, and one of somebody from our team will contact you directly to find your address where we need to courier all the freebies. So yeah, um, we will wait until 10 p.m. your India time. So we'll keep assessing the people who has completed the quiz until 10 p.m. and we'll choose the top 10 winner out of those people who has completed the quiz before 10 p.m. If you have any other question, please feel free to contact our India number, which Nidhi ji has already provided. And also, you can drop an email at support@thefunnode.com. Okay, so as SUPPORT support@thefunnode THEFUNKNOW.com. Over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you, Anant sir. I would thank all the participants and our esteemed speakers who have given their knowledge. Now all are requested for the feedback on the workshop and send in your quiz answers by 10 p.m. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.